What's up, YouTube? And let me assure the new subscribers, who I really appreciate. My subscriber count has surged much more quickly since the month of May and June, thanks to the Johnny Depp stuff I've been posting. Mostly shorts based on the trial and stuff going on after the trial, although some videos I edited and put together as well. I do recommend one in particular, even if you're not even into the trial or into what was going on. It's got some funny things I've pointed out. But anyways, this is going to be a reaction video to a new video that came out yesterday. I have a pretty large contingent of fans who seem to only watch when I upload reactions to this channel. I wish they'd watch my other things, but I mean, I guess sometimes they do, but yeah. Got to keep everybody on board. So, speaking of the Johnny Depp stuff, there's going to be something new I'm going to upload soon as well. That points out a really horrendous thing that Amber Heard has done. And yeah, but I'll get to that later. Let's focus on something that has nothing to do with the trial for this video, as it's a reaction to Scott the Woz. And speaking of which, I did react to his Donkey Kong Barrel Blast video. It was a really, really long reaction, and there were so many interruptions because that reaction was recorded while my wife was watching live coverage of the Johnny Depp trial at the same time, and she interrupted to talk about what was going on. So I haven't gotten around to it, but I'll edit out the interruptions. I was planning on editing in other things that would be more related to what I'm saying to make it more interesting, but I don't know whether I'll do that or not because that would take more time to make and it would take longer to upload. But I don't know, maybe it might be worth it. Maybe it might be worth the wait. Anyways, let's watch this one. It's called Day One Editions, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not at all familiar with Day One Editions. Not at all. Does that mean that, like, you get something special when you get the game on day one? I mean, that's pretty fucking prejudiced if you ask me. What if somebody doesn't even have the money to buy the game on day one? Games are $60 now, which $60 is not that much money, but to some people it is, especially if you keep buying games. You buy a new game for $60 here, you buy a new game for $60 next month, then the following week, then the following week, then the following month. And there you go. In a span of just 2 months, you spent $240. And then, of course, there's tax, so it's more like you spent somewhere closer to like $280, depending on what state you live in, so, or where you live. So, yeah, it adds up. That's why I actually haven't bought games very much lately. I only buy games that I know I'm going to play, like games that have fun online and stuff.
Oh, hey y'all, Scott here. And don't mind me, I'm just making some adjustments to the calendar, or legally speaking, tampering with evidence. Ever since I missed out on buying Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes on launch day, I've made it a goal to make sure every day is launch day. Because we can't just let the day one buyers have all the fun. Look at them out there. So, from here on out, whenever you decide to buy the game, you'll get the satisfaction of knowing you bought it on day one. Which stinks for me because I'm never gonna buy it.
There's a certain level of pride that comes with being a gamer.
I never said it was a high one. And many attribute their gaming accomplishments towards the real-life penis.
You're not a true fan. You didn't beat Horizon Forbidden West on very hard and easy the week before the game released. So much of gaming discussion is based around, oh yeah, well, this is why I'm a bigger fan. See, I'm better than you because I don't have anything else going on.
So why not monetize and encourage that kind of behavior?
I can get behind that. Let's go even further. If your aunt died last night, you get a green case.
Day one editions. You know what that means? I'm a sucker. These are some of the more peculiar facets of modern gaming, with their entire purpose being for bragging rights.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I personally remember these coming to light was during the Xbox One's launch. How did Microsoft take attention away
I don't
from the
remember that.
competition? By giving us shit box art. The Microsoft published titles, Dead Rising 3, Forza 5, and Rise Son of Rome, all received Day 1 2013 editions as a way to commemorate the console's launch. Foil silver backgrounds. Yeah, that's so much better than art. And to be fair, there was a part of me that wanted these editions of the games. I mean, there's a reason first print releases of products are often coveted as the most valuable. So to have the games denote that, not only with a banner, but special box art as well, it just makes these even more collectible feeling. Emphasis on feeling. Yeah, so your reward for waiting out in the November 2013 cold to buy your Xbox One is shittier box art and deprecating value. Well, these releases...
Yeah, not to mention spending $100 more on an Xbox One than you would on a PS4 when the PS4 was the more powerful console because the Xbox One was forcing people to use Kinect. I'm going to talk about Big Bang Theory now. I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched the show that much, but I do remember an episode back when the Xbox One and PS4 came out. Whoever wrote what Sheldon's character had to say there was an idiot. I'm sorry, but anybody who's like a big time nerd who's not like a fanboy of either console is going to pick the PS4. They're going to, and the proof is in the pudding. If you look at the sales of the past generation, the PS4 completely dominated. Xbox One was way behind. In fact, the Switch, which came out 4 years later, it only took like 2 years or so for the Switch to outsell the Xbox One. The Xbox One is, I'd still consider to be a success. It has sold a lot of units, but it pales in comparison to how successful the PS4 was, especially at launch. I mean, I think now the Switch is outselling the PS4. I'm not sure. But anyways, Sheldon couldn't decide on the PS4 Xbox One, and one of the reasons was because the Xbox One came with Kinect. Anyone who's a hardcore gamer does not care about Kinect. They don't care about it. They just want to play the game and use a controller. Or if they're playing on a computer, mouse and keyboard. In fact, the really hardcore gamers usually stick to PC, actually. Because you can keep upgrading the computer, plus there's more games available on it, and you can find better deals on Steam and Origin and Epic Games and stuff like that, and Battle.net. Anyway, just had to point that out.
Releases do come with bonus DLC items, and it does feel pretty deprecating value. Well, these releases do come with bonus DLC items, and it does feel pretty cool to own these and say, I was there since the very start 2 weeks ago. But I think the bigger deal was the Day 1 edition Xbox One consoles. Right at launch, you could get this system with a special edition controller and an exclusive achievement on your Xbox Live profile. Wow, so this is what it must have been like to own an Xbox One at launch. I'm not gonna lie and act like this.
You know what else it must have been like? Throwing all your money away.
This wasn't a smart move by Microsoft. I mean, if you're buying an Xbox One at launch. I'm not gonna lie and act like this wasn't a smart move by Microsoft. I mean, if you're buying a console at launch, you already have control issues. Couple that
Yeah,
with such
you
minimal additions like 3 lines of text on a controller and a digital achievement that says, you f***ed up.
I sure did.
And you just ensured that at least one person who wasn't
Wow,
originally going to
noticed.
buy the system bought it because they didn't want to miss out on owning the limited Day 1 edition. Oh my god, it's so fucking cool. And by proxy, I'm so fucking cool. Microsoft will continue this Day 1 tradition, this time with Simply Games on their launch dates, incentivizing people to buy the games the first chance they get. These companies are already trying to find ways to avoid customers buying used games around this time. One scheme being to lock the online multiplayer behind a digital code. Buy the game brand new, enter the code in, and you're golden. Buy the game used, you run the risk of the code already being redeemed or just flat out not being in the box. And thus, if you want to play online, you have to pay an extra 5 or so bones for the privilege of using your product. Thankfully, this practice became less and less used as the years went on. So,
Yeah.
replaced it? Just because it's not as bad doesn't mean it's not stupid.
It's like pitting Satan against some worms. Like, yeah, I don't.
Just because it's not as bad, it doesn't mean it's not stupid. Exactly. So, some guy I argued with on Facebook, which by the way, I have a members only video about it because it's out of respect not to publicly destroy this person, but also because I don't want people to be trashing my comment section on such a video. But anyway, just 99 cents a month. You can join as a member. You'll see some stuff I wouldn't upload publicly. Anyway, continuing. I'm just going to use this guy as an example. I guess after our argument ended and we stopped talking to each other, he upgraded from complete moron to idiot. It's an upgrade, but he's still an idiot.
Like either, but when it comes down to it, one is truly fucking despicable, and the other is just the Prince of Darkness. Day 1 editions are just kind of weird to me. They're everywhere, and most big-name titles these days has something akin to it, and it's just a trend I find interesting. So, let's dissect the method to the madness and see if any of these Day 1 editions are worth being early to the party for. I'm a true fan.
Before we dive into these, I have
Oh god, no. Hold on, was that the Switch port?
Early to the party for.
I can't tell, but I think that's the Switch port.
I'm a true fan.
before we
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know how Sega screwed that up so bad. Sonic Colors came out for the Wii in 2010. And there was also a DS version that was basically a Sonic Rush 3. That's the one I played. I was gifted the Wii version many years later, but for some reason I had never played it. Could have easily played it on my Wii U, but just never got around to it. I eventually decided to buy the PC version on sadly not Steam. I had to start an Epic Games account to do this, you bastards. So I had to download Epic Games on my PC to play it, which at first it didn't really load. It was weird when I first bought it. It's like, I bought the game, but nothing's happening. But then it started to work the next time I tried it, I guess. I actually have some videos of that game, but you can go back and watch them if you want. Nobody actually has watched them, but you don't have to watch them. But anyways, yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy the game on day 1, because at least for the Switch port, my god, how they screwed that up is pathetic. Like, damn, man. I haven't really actually checked out the videos of these glitches. I've just seen them appear in my, recommendations, but never clicked on them. But I have seen people do videos where they're just talking about it and analyzing it, and like, wow, how the hell did they screw that up so badly? They ported the game to a much more powerful console. The Switch is way more powerful than the Wii, obviously, and they screwed up that badly. Like, I just don't get how they can do that. It's insane.
Before we dive into these, I have one major question. When does the term Day 1 Edition or Launch Edition become obsolete? Spider-Man Miles Morales has been out for years at this point, and basically the only version I ever see for sale on PlayStation 5 is the Launch Edition. And the Ultimate Launch Edition. Oh man, is my big or too big? Hell, a game like Shantae Half Genie Hero released on Nintendo Switch with a special Day 1 Edition, a year after the Nintendo Switch version launched. Half a year after day 1. So let's just say this title means the first print of the game, not necessarily specifically day 1. Though it would be something if this title actually meant something. I feel like it would instill a much greater connection.
I didn't know this game came out. I might like that game someday. Looks like when it came out, it was before I ever bought a Switch. That's why I wasn't aware of it. The first time I bought a Switch was in November of 2018 because Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was coming out in December, and I used a deal on Black Friday. Unfortunately, that's the Switch I stupidly lost in 2019. But then in 2020, I was able to buy and replace my Switch, and I will not lose that one. I still have it, and it's been 2 years since. I don't know if it's been exactly 2 years. It was like I think actually it has been about exactly 2 years. It was either June or July, maybe August when I bought that again. But I'm not going to ever lose another Switch. Never again. I can't make a mistake like that. That was awful that I let that happen. But, yeah, I might like a game like this because it's, I've heard that it's a cool platformer, and might be fun to play.
Between the customer and the game, if this variant was truly
only available on launch day. Instead, these copies flood stores for sometimes years. Now, obviously, printing a copy of the game that's only available on one day isn't practical, but hey, they call these launch editions for a reason. They want to dig their claws into your emotions. When you look at your copy of Ratchet and Clank and it says launch edition, they want you to say,
I was there.
that creates incentive for you to buy your next game at launch, and the next game, and the next game. This whole thing is just a mind game. Well, if we're being emotionally manipulated, might as well see what's in it for us.
I love you. You look less fat today.
Most launch editions come with a few bonus DLC items, nothing crazy. Costumes, cars, weapons, you name it. Anything that's cool, but superfluous enough to be a giveaway incentive. Listen, they love us, but not enough to like us. It's always some of the most whatever DLC imaginable. Like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart's launch edition just gives you a weapon and armor set early. Like, you can still get them in the game through natural progression, but because you bought the game first, you don't have to work for them. I love this game so much, I'm willing to buy it at launch so then I can automatically get items so I don't have to play it as much. This is tough because I want to criticize this launch bonus for being stupid, but it's not locking content behind a paywall for anybody, which makes this very commendable. And stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
Hot
it is.
Wheels Unleashed Day 1 Edition, because Grandma had to wait. Oddworld Soulstorm Day 1 Edition on Xbox, and No More Heroes 3 Day 1 Edition on PlayStation. Once again, months after Day 1. Some of these do include more than just DLC, though. Oddworld features a metal case on the Day 1 Edition for Xbox, which was the same metal case on the Day 1 Edition for PlayStation. Well, I did have to make sure. Now, Dark Souls 3's Day 1 Edition acts more as a special edition than a traditional launch edition, coming with the full game soundtrack on CD, which, yes, this is something fitting for fans willing to buy the game day one. Though they also denote having an outer sleeve as a day one edition feature. Be grateful. A digital strategy starter guide is also included, and exclusive to the Xbox One release is a full download code for the original Dark Souls. You'd think that would make this the definitive version to get. 19 sold? Very cool.
Wow. Wow. Crazy. That said, I do appreciate that at least with Dark Souls 3, they added that soundtrack. Yeah, I mean, most people nowadays don't even really listen to CDs, but heck, most computers that we own have a DVD drive or Blu-ray drive, and I gotta plug in my computer, charge it up, charge up the battery. Probably would have been able to wait long before charging if I wasn't using it before I actually started doing this video. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. We're good. But, you know, we all have a DVD or Blu-ray drive on our computers. I mean, yes, some newer computers are built without these drives, but yeah, just put the CD in there and you can listen to the music that way. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not that useful because you probably just look up the songs on YouTube, but it's still kind of cool. At least they made it a little more worth your while.
Release here. If I'll launch it, get 19 sold. Very cool release here. If all launch editions were like this, I'd see absolutely nothing to complain about, but thankfully, we live in reality. The launch edition of Sonic Colors Ultimate. Now, why is this box so thick? Why do include the Baby Sonic keychain from the Sonic the Hedgehog live-action movie in 2020, of course?
There isn't a Dark Souls 3 soundtrack in here.
What does that have to do with Sonic Colors? This
Ooh, a soundtrack. Day one Sonic game releases, that should be a requirement for them to have a soundtrack because, come on, no matter how good or bad a Sonic game is, their soundtrack is always top-notch. They always have an amazing soundtrack. People hate Sonic Forces. I disagree. I think Sonic Forces is actually a pretty good game. There's a lot of disappointments in the game. There's a lot of missed opportunities. But I think the gameplay is fun. It's pretty good, with the exceptions of some parts when you're classic Sonic in that game. His controls are really slippery. But if a day one edition of Sonic games were released with the soundtrack, that would be pretty awesome because yeah, every Sonic game has an amazing soundtrack. Even people who don't like Sonic Forces, they'll look up YouTube videos of the songs. The songs are fucking amazing. Seriously, check out the soundtrack of Sonic Forces. It's really amazing, and they actually have cool remakes of songs from Sonic Adventure 2 as well that are really good. Like really, really good. Holy shit. Alright, let's continue.
This belongs with the Sonic movies Blu-ray, not some completely unrelated remaster. Sonic 20, of course.
You sure there isn't a Dark Souls 3 soundtrack in here?
What does this have to do with Sonic Colors? This belongs with the Sonic movies Blu-ray,
Yeah, I
not some
agree.
completely unrelated remaster of a Wii game from 2010.
Yeah.
It was obviously thrown in to get rid of excess stock from promotions for the film while trying to make the game more enticing on release day. It was a win-win for Sega, and a loss in terms of space on my shelf. This is one of the most obnoxiously large game boxes I own, considering what comes in it. Yes, a keychain. Error. Sega's been doing the whole bonus edition at launch stick for a while, and honestly speaking, I'm kind of over it. It's hard to complain because these games aren't any more expensive than if they didn't come with all this garbage, but I'm just tired of buying a Sega game at launch and then having to deal with where to put my new trinkets. Boyo Tetris similarly came with a keychain, though. That at least was specifically for that game. Super Monkey Ball, Banana Mania, and Sonic Mania Plus received art books, which are absolutely beautiful and great inclusions. But they're just clumsily packed next to the outer sleeves. Makes it annoying to put on a shelf because every time you take the game out, you have to deal with the art book rattling around in there. This is even more irritating with the Nintendo Switch versions of these games. Since those game cases are much smaller, like putting this on my shelf with the rest of my Switch games with the outer sleeve looks dumb. Taking the outer sleeve off and putting that somewhere else looks dumb. You know what? Life looks fucking dumb. The Japanese release of Sonic Mania Plus is so much better, considering all of this and then some, including the game's soundtrack on CD, are bundled in a box, making it so much easier to store.
Soundtrack.
You don't have to worry about the art book getting ripped up from just laying here. Other launch editions do this, where they just include the bonuses just stuffed into the sleeve like this. It's just irritating to me. Like, you kind of have designed these materials to just be, like, that smaller. I just want this junk included in the game case itself, not like this. I have to deal with it every time I pull the game out this way. Which is why Sega should take notes from Sega. Valkyria Chronicles 4 Launch Edition comes with a controller skin. Easy edition, kind of cute bonus. Doesn't add any girth to the package. Perfect. And it's included right alongside your other launch bonus, the Japanese voices. Why is this a launch bonus? This is just something that should be in the game automatically. Imagine if they
Yeah.
locked Spanish subtitles behind pre-orders. The Sonic Forces bonus edition should have given you the ability to use the left button on the menu. This one was very similar to Valkyria Chronicles. Controller skin and DLC add-ons. So the latter was relegated to just custom character costumes. And honestly, that's just what most launch editions offer. It's an easy
That's
and
not
painless
bad,
way to
though.
incentivize
Kinda
you to
cool.
buy at launch. So these can often be in addition to various other SKUs of the product on day one. Persona 5 Royal had the regular edition, then the launch edition, which included a steelbook and a theme for your PS4.
I don't need a launch edition for that.
Then the Phantom Thieves edition, including everything from the launch edition plus more, and then the Resident Evil 3 edition. And that's not even scratching the surface of the digital version. You have the digital edition, digital deluxe edition, digital
I
ultimate
recognize the
edition.
man.
The fact that so many modern games need to have articles and charts whipped up to explain the differences between each version is ridiculous. Especially when the launch edition is still being sold while the regular edition is then introduced. What am I supposed to make of this? Publishers have milked the edition game dry, and when day one editions were introduced, that was just the beginning. How can we go further?
What day is it?
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare had a special Day Zero edition.
I don't
If you
get
bought
it.
this version, it would come out a day before the actual release date. Well, then that
So-
isn't the actual release date! It's like when the PlayStation Vita had a first edition bundle that released a week prior to the actual release date. I hate to break it to you, but I don't think that can be considered the actual release date
No
anymore.
kidding.
Oh, and we can always circle back to Sonic Colors Ultimate. Early access by pre-ordering the Digital Deluxe Edition? Yeah, I got early access. 11 years ago!
Day one editions, launch editions. They're tactics by these companies to get you in at the very start. And pay full price, help them achieve record-breaking numbers in that quarter while having to deal with the growing pains of playing a game at launch with all the bugs and glitches that come with. Proceed to pay for all the DLC and expansions that come later down the line, all for the game to end up rotting in the bargain bin for $20 while a complete all-in-one edition releases with all the bugs and glitches fixed and all the paid DLC included for free. But damn, it's worth it. I'm not saying these things are bad or
Jeez.
anything. I just think it's interesting how common they've become and how little I think it all matters. The fact I can walk into Best Buy months and months and months after Horizon Forbidden West launched and still buy the launch edition, which the only difference between that and the standard edition is a little bit of text at the top and a free DLC costume, I feel like the purpose of a launch edition is kind of lost at that point.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
what are you gonna do? Are you gonna let some video game company push you around and tell you when to buy your games? Because
No.
where I'm from, every day is
Oh,
Fire
Ohio.
Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes launch day. And I don't sleep because of it.
Oh, sucks to be you. What the fuck's got the was? Standard editions. There's gonna be like nothing to say if it's a standard edition. Like, oh hey, that's just how the games normally are. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. So, you know, I don't think I've ever seen a day one edition of a video game before. Like, not until I saw this video. I'm just not. I guess I just have no interest in that. Like, okay. In 2006, that's when I became 18 years old. I got, for the first time, I bought a video game console, which was the Wii. A year before that, I bought, although I think my mom helped me buy, a Nintendo DS. So, yeah, there's that. But, like, anyways, every console prior to that, my mom would buy for the household or the handhelds individually. Actually, one thing that was really cool and kind of a brag, actually, because growing up in the 90s, my family, so we took a trip. We're in well, I'm in Northern California. My family moved to Idaho because it's way cheaper there. But anyways, we all lived here in Northern California, here in Santa Rosa at the time. And we took a trip down to Southern California, to San Bernardino, to meet up with our cousins down there. And then we all drove together to take a trip to the East Coast, to drive all the way to New York City. Made some stops along the way. We stopped in Washington, D.C. along the way, which was very fascinating. I mean, I was really young at the time. I was like 6 or 7 years old, so I don't remember everything. But politics suck. But the city of Washington, D.C. itself is actually fascinating to look at. Lots of monuments, a great place for tourism. And then New York City, expensive as hell, humongous population, but to be honest, if I was able to afford it, I'd be delighted to live there, because it's just got it, because they got everything there. Anyways, at that time, we went into the crown of the Statue of Liberty, and back then, since it was the 90s, the Twin Towers were still there. It was really cool to see the Twin Towers from the crown of the Statue of Liberty. Now, if we go to New York City and go to the crown of the Statue of Liberty, we're not going to see the Twin Towers, obviously. 9/11, 2001. But they replaced it with the One World Trade Center, which is even taller, and it's one building. So we might see that. Anyway, anyways, before the trip, Mom bought me and both my older brothers each a Game Boy. And despite the fact that my extended family is definitely a lot more successful than my immediate family, not all of them are, but a lot of them are, like, they have great careers, great homes, and some can still afford to live in Southern Cal in an actual house, which is expensive, more expensive up here, I think, but down there it's still expensive. And then there's, in New York, the main reason we drove all the way to New York City was also to meet our cousins who live in New York City as well. So, yeah. I still have family in New York City. I have family in many parts of the country. There's some that are up here in NorCal. My aunt and uncle are in Sunnyvale, which is nearby San Jose. That's about 2 hours from here. 2 hours south from here. my extended family that was all in San Bernardino, all of them moved out of San Bernardino. Some of them moved to Ontario, not Canada. There's an Ontario in Southern California. Some of them moved to Highland, California. No, that's not where Beavis and Butthead are from. They're from a fictional town of Highland, Texas. Um, and yeah, some of them just moved out of state entirely. I have cousins in Arizona, cousins in New Jersey, New York City, and I still have extended family that are still in the country of Finland who never moved to the U.S. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is the rest of my family, a lot of my extended family is a lot more successful than we are, than my immediate family is. But they actually were jealous because because me and both my older brothers, we all three of us had Game Boys, and we got to play them while taking our trip across country. It was awesome. By the way, on the way back, we went to South Dakota and saw Mount Rushmore. We also went to Wyoming and saw a little of Yellowstone Park as well. Anyway, probably should get back to the point of this video. I will also mention that I've been to Yosemite a lot, but Yosemite is in Central California. I'm in Northern California, so Yosemite is like 4 or 5 hours away from here. So yeah, it makes sense that I've been to Yosemite a lot more. But anyways, continuing on. Yeah, handheld gaming was amazing growing up. I mean, obviously it's better now. This day one edition thing, anyways, I was gonna point out that with in the late 2000s, that was when I became an adult. I was 18 in 2006. 34 now. I turned 34 back on June 19th, so a few weeks ago. Anyways, back then I used to buy a lot of games. Some of them on day one, some of them later, and I simply did that because I just really wanted to play them. And I learned from that experience that I shouldn't do that anymore, because there were a lot of games I bought on day one that I played through and completed and then didn't play again. For example, Sonic Unleashed, I bought that on day one, the Wii version. And I actually have an entire playthrough uploaded to my channel back in 2008. You could actually still find it if you look through my playlists. It's right there. And yeah, I played through the entire game. And then after beating it, I might have played it like 2 more times. Other than that, I saw my then best friend Spencer play it a little bit. My longest friend Kevin playing it a little bit. But then I think I played it a little after that, and then just stopped playing it and realized, wow, I shouldn't have spent $50 to buy a game that I would stop playing after I beat it. You know, I should have rented the game. Blockbuster still existed at the time. I could have just rented the game from there and then just returned it when I beat the game. I should have done that. I don't think Hollywood Video still existed. My family, we went to back in the 90s and early 2000s. We didn't go to Blockbuster. We went to Hollywood Video. There were 2 of them in my hometown of Santa Rosa, and there were even more Blockbusters. But yeah, we chose Hollywood Video for some reason. Not actually sure why. But anyways. Yeah, obviously Hollywood Video is long gone. Although, interestingly enough, I've once driven up to Eureka, California, which is about 4 hours north from here, and surprisingly affordable for a coastal town in California. Probably because there's really not that much going on there, and it's far enough from the Bay Area to be more affordable. But there's a video store called Spotlight Video that I kid you not, the logo, the sign looks exactly the same. It looks completely identical to the sign from Hollywood Video. It uses the same font and everything. The only difference is the background is light blue instead of black. That's the only difference. I even made a post about that back when I did go to Eureka in 2020. Anyways, if you could probably Google it and find out and see and be like, wow, it does look the same. But I guess they can get away with that because Hollywood Video is out of business, so what harm is it going to do for a store called Spotlight Video to copy its exact design on their sign and logo when the business that they're copying doesn't even exist anymore? Wow, I've been ranting on about some random shit, haven't I? But so yeah, anyways, the bottom line is I used to buy a lot of games day one, play through them, and then beat them. And I was like, I shouldn't have done that. Nowadays, if I buy a game on day one, it's because it has online play and I know I'm going to play it a lot. For example, Mario Strikers Battle League. I downloaded that to my Switch via the eShop on day one because I knew I was going to play it a lot. Because when Mario Strikers Charged came out for the Wii 15 years ago, God, it took them so long to finally make another game. I played that game a lot, like a lot. I don't play it anymore, but I played it a lot at the time, for years. So, I figured with Mario Strikers Battle League, I would play that a lot as well. And I have been. I already put quite a number of hours into it, even though the game just came out at the early last month. Anyway, nowadays I don't really buy games on day one, and the day one edition thing is kind of stupid as well because they stay in the store for months because people don't buy them right away. It doesn't make it day one anymore. And it's kind of like what Scott the Woz briefly said about how, oh, why get the day one edition if I could just get a newer edition of the game that came out after they fixed all the bugs and problems with the game? Because unfortunately nowadays a lot of companies release unfinished games, and I wish they'd stop doing that. Companies used to instead release a game with everything that's needed. I do think part of the reason it's so common nowadays for companies to release an unfinished game, I believe, at least for the last couple years, has to do with the pandemic. I do think it does, because it has made it a lot harder to get things done because of social distancing, trying to maintain and not spread the virus. Actually, one thing that's really sad that I heard is during the Johnny Depp trial, there were people during the trial who actually got the virus. I'm not kidding. I don't know specifically who, but like there were people who were at the trial who got the coronavirus, um, which is just sad. It's like justice was served because Amber Heard was found guilty on all counts. Johnny Depp won the trial, which is rightfully so because Amber Heard lied the entire time. But like the fact that people got the coronavirus while at the trial, while watching justice be served, that's really sad. Some people want to say that the pandemic is over. It's totally not. Now, I'm in the state of California, and California had been one of the most strict states when it comes to the virus. There were mask mandates here longer than most states, maybe longer than all states. I'm not even sure. Because California, not only because for really stupid reasons, it seems that states that are more liberal would require masks. States that were more conservative didn't take the pandemic as seriously. I'm sure it's not the case for everybody. I'm just saying that's what the statistics show. That's what has happened. I'm stating facts. I'm not stating opinions. That's what actually happened. And it's kind of obvious why, because former President Trump didn't take the the coronavirus seriously, at least at first. I think he started to take it seriously later on, but he waited until basically when he actually got the virus himself to do that. But anyways, let's not talk politics. I'm just talking about the facts of what actually happened. So don't be going like, you're being biased. Like, I'm not. I'm stating actual facts that actually happened. Anyway, the context of what I'm trying to say is nowadays there's no mask mandate, even here in California where it was really strict. There is no mask mandate anymore. People are not required to wear masks anymore. Employees at restaurants are not required to wear masks anymore. I actually am vaccinated. I'm vaccinated, but I still choose to wear a mask because I don't trust people. And I'm not I'm not saying that people are bad or anything like that. It's just when you literally don't know anything about somebody, you can't. Why would you trust them? You don't know them, right? You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know what they're good or bad at. You know nothing about them. You can't just assume. I'm not saying to assume the worst in people. I'm just saying take precautions. I choose to wear a mask when I'm out anyway. Not necessarily when I'm outdoors. I usually have it off when I'm outdoors, but when I enter a restaurant, I usually put it on, put the mask on. When I approach somebody's house to deliver a DoorDash order, I have the mask on. Even though most people are not wearing a mask, I still wear it because I know the coronavirus is still spreading. I know there's still I know that it's still happening, even though restrictions have been lifted. So what I'm trying to get at is, I still believe I believe one of the reasons, at least over the past couple years, games have been released unfinished had to do with the coronavirus, because employees didn't have as much time to work on the games because they couldn't work together as much. That does make things a lot harder. It really does for a lot of people. Wow, I really went on a lot longer than I meant to, talking about all this other shit that doesn't have much to do with the video, except, yeah, coronavirus kind of did, yeah. What do you guys think about day one editions? Does it just really not matter? Let people be stupid and buy a game day one, or do you think they should stop making them? Personally, I believe there's no point. They could do what they want. They could sell them, whatever the case may be, but I really do think that they're just not necessary. And what do you think about this new Scott DeWaz video? I thought it was really good, really funny. You heard me laughing out loud. He made some really hilarious jokes, as he normally does. That said, time to end this. More Johnny Depp stuff to come. Had a Deuce reaction to Scott DeWaz, and I do intend to put together my reaction to his Donkey Kong Barrel Blast one. It's a really long reaction. Like, it's really long. It shouldn't be as long as it is, but there was just so much I had to say. Just like how this one's a lot longer than it should be. For context, that video is, without the editing I'm going to do on it, is way longer than this one, by the way. But maybe I could shorten it with editing. That said, thank you so much. I have work to do. After spending a lot to get my car back, I'm short on rent, so I got to work really hard to make that back and pay the rent. So I'm going to be really busy. If you want to help me out, even just a little, join as a member. I'm not asking you to join as a member to help me with the rent or anything. I'm just saying it would be a little helpful. My earnings from my job will help with the rent. But if I can have members join, it'd make uploading these videos even more worthwhile. Anyways, thank you so much for watching.